So if you want to share your life secrets or you have something personal you want to talk about or whatever, just wait till we get to the end. We will turn the recording off and you can share then. I will hit record. Nope, I can't. Lindsay,
I did. You're good.
Thanks, guys.
And whoever wants to join on video, it's much more engaging to be able to
see. It really is.
Man.
Video is super fun. All right. So thank you so much for having me today. And thank you for letting me go first. I'm sorry that we had some chaos on the team. And but I promise to bring massive value. And here's the deal. What I'm going to do too is create a Google document, like a Google folder that I will give you guys access to so that you can go get everything that I share today, because otherwise you're going to be sitting there writing down like crazy. And I don't want you to have to be able to write. I want you to be able to sit and think and listen and engage here a little bit. And then that way I'll give you all those tools. So just know that you don't have to sit there and do a bunch of notes. You can actually pop in and you'll get this stuff. All right. So with that being said, my piece to all of this, you guys, is an interesting piece that would normally go second. I'm going to go ahead and present my screen here. And so what we're going to do is, obviously we're doing some 2021 planning, because as Jen's already said in the group a couple of times, 2021 starts October 1st. So whether or not you are ready, it's ready and it's coming and you need to get ready. So what I'm...
Use it.
What? Oh, I don't know. That was somebody else. I'm going to mute them too. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to talk through what I like to call the I hate to do list. It's my favorite list because I hate doing lots of things in my business, and I'm sure you do too. And so we're going to talk through that, and I'm going to help you guys create your own. We're going to talk through what I call an employee avatar. That's something that we've kind of coined, and I'll walk you through that, because once you make a I hate to do list, if you're a solo agent or you're a team, wherever you are hating things that you do. And if you do, then it's probably time for leverage, which is the next thing there. We're going to talk about what systems and what processes you guys need in order to take yourselves from E to P. So entrepreneurial to purposeful, right? The truth is 2021 can be the best year ever, as long as you put processes and procedures in place that help you get there. And so we're going to talk through those. I'm going to give you a list of things that if you don't actually have them in place, we can help you put them in place, or you can sit down one night, grab a glass of wine, coffee, whatever you do, water, and just sit there and create some plans. So I'll give you the list of things that you might need. All right. So with that being said, the I hate to do list. It is really important for you to sit down and actually write out this list, you guys. And so I just put a couple of things that I know I hate doing. A lot of times when I sit down with agents and I'm talking through who they might want to hire, we make this list, and it's so funny to listen to all the things that come up. A lot of people are like, I hate all the things. So I'm like, all right, then you're hiring all the things, right? So my list is answering phones, accounting, all things accounting. I just like it. Can we mute? I'm going to mute Dawn too. As you guys come in, mute yourself. Who else is, you got me? All right. I hate writing contracts. I hate showing homes. I hate answering questions from other agents on my listings. I hate social media posts. I hate marketing of all listings, and I hate building out action plans. Now, the funny thing is I do a lot of these things, right? And I have grown to a place of I'm fine with it. But if you knew me, I would actually never have a post on social media ever. And if you watch me, I'm on social media always. So that's a weird thing, right? I've got some people that help me with some of that. Once you have your list completed, then you need to move on to figuring out who should do this. So am I still doing this in all of 2021? Or is somebody else going to be doing this? What we like to do is sit down and we like to create a business on a wall, or you can create it. My favorite thing is to take a big window in my house, if you have the ability to do that, and write all over the window. And I like to put a business in perspective of, okay, we know we have a CEO, we know we have a COO, right? So somebody who's doing all of operations. We know we normally have a CFO. And if you just break a business into those three things, and it doesn't even matter if we're talking about real estate or consulting or, you know, whatever business you have, if you break it into those three things and you stick your name in those three places, you are wearing all three of those hats, right? So you're wearing the accounting hat, you're wearing the operations hat, and you're wearing the visionary hat. If you're wearing all those hats, you guys, you're exhausted and you're probably hating things, which is why the I hate to do list is so important. So then you're creating basically a missing persons, list. So if you're a solo agent right now, you're wearing all those hats, you want to fill those buckets. The first bucket they're going to fill is the operations bucket, right? So again, most real estate agents, whether you're on a team or you're a solo agent, you're probably hating a lot of the operations pieces. And so you see some of my list here. If your list is looking the same, obviously you're going to fill that bucket as quickly as possible. All right, so once you have that list completed, then you have to move on to the who. And is it time to hire? Do I have enough money to, lay aside to make that hire? What is the personality profile of the person that I need to hire, right? So you got to think through all of that stuff. I keep forgetting I'm on Canva here. So that leads me to the employee avatar. And this is an executive assistant avatar that we kind of created here. We like to have you think about a lot of different things. So you can see right up top here, we've got a summary. So, what is the motto of the person that you are going to be hiring? Is there a motto? Have you ever thought about something like that, right? So, we put work hard and be nice to people. We've got a DISC there. I'm still a big believer in the DISC assessment. I think it really tells a lot about people, and you've got to figure out, who do you need? So who are you? Who's the complement to you? You can figure all those things out by figuring out what the pain points are, or, the different things that they're going to be doing. So again, if you've created an I hate to do list, you can actually use that list as your job ad, right? All of those things are going to go on there. Now you may need to make it look better or seem prettier, or, it might be client and agent communication, right? So you're gonna have to dress that up a little bit. But the truth of the matter is you want to figure out what all those pain points are and then what you need to do with that. I just got the dog let in with me, so I apologize ahead of time if we have a barking dog at some point here. Then you've got to figure out what their mission is. So the mission of an executive assistant, you guys, is to assist and support the CEO in all business personal areas needing assistance. And that could look like everything, right? You're going to look at different outcomes, like what would their day look like, right? And so these are all just little ideas, and we have this employee avatar in that folder that I told you about that we'll give you. But the truth is you've got all these things that you can kind of figure out, and you've got competencies. So do we need them to be tech savvy? Do we need good communication skills? Do we need them to be a team player? All those things. And you can really start to think through, like, what does this person need to look like? Now, if we're looking at an executive assistant, we're going to be looking at somebody who's structured, supportive, they're a problem solver, they've got to be organized. And we call that the values pyramid. What things do we really need them to have in order to make the correct hire? So again, hopefully, something like this, if you guys are looking at this, it can help you once you make that I hate to do list. It can help you figure out exactly who you're trying to find and what things they can do for you. Okay, so then we've got to, again, figure out who we're hiring, right? So again, if we're going to start going towards the leverage piece, which is going to help you build a business, whether you believe it or not, if you're a solo agent, do the right thing, right? Go ahead and hire and try it, or hire a TC company or somebody to take some of this stuff off of you so you can leverage. You will sell more. Almost every person I've ever come in contact with that brings an assistant on, and I think John and Jen would shake their head yes. Every time you bring an assistant on, you grow. And so consider doing it.
One thing on that,
yeah,
with bringing it on, a lot of people I get in contact with, they're scared to make that hire. They're scared to bring in leverage, but it doesn't have to be like a $80,000 a year admin, right? Like
right.
Your first hire can be a great TC. Or like your best hires, like I'm really convinced right now, and somebody can fight me on this, but the best structure of a team, honestly, is a rock star TC and an amazing showing agent. And that is like the least scary, most implementable version of a team structure that anybody can do. And if you're a solo agent right now, if you just focus in the next couple months on finding the world's best TC and the world's best showing agent, you can have a high profit, really high quality life where you don't have to spend all your time doing some of those things that are a little more time intensive, less dollar productive, and they take you away from your family and the things that you'd rather be doing. So that's my 2 cents on it. I'll shut up again.
No, and I'll take that one step further. The showing assistant can wear two different hats there. In my perfect world, it would be a listing manager and showing assistant. So you're out showing, you're also going to my listings and you're doing some of the follow-up stuff, meeting the photographer, meeting an appraiser, meeting those people. It still is a very similar job, and it helps with both things. And if they can do some of that marketing too, you've got an amazing marketing / showing assistant hybrid alongside of the executive assistant TC person. And yes, and that's like one of my favorite combinations there. Okay. So for me, gaining clarity around what you need, right? Like, I know now after hiring for myself that one of the biggest things that matters to me is that I find somebody with a team attitude. I don't want somebody that wants to be on an island. It doesn't work for me anymore. I've tried that for a long time. I want somebody that like is excited to be alongside of me, wants to build, like wants to do all of that together. Like I need some of that excitement, and I need to know that they love teams. And how would I know that? So, you've got to gain some clarity around, okay, what questions do I need to ask? So for example, now I ask about, what sports teams were you on and what did that look like? Did you ever become captain, right? Like I know who I was in a sports team. I became the captain, I became the supervisor, and then the manager in every job that I was in. So I know that that's who I am. So I need somebody alongside of me that's going to do the same thing. And that's been really important to me to find out. Marketing wise, I need somebody who's really going to be good with marketing. But what I've figured out is that I need somebody who has kind of the same taste as me, right? Or that is going to actually be learning based and open to hearing my constructive criticism. And so now I need to ask questions around, hey, if you sit something down in front of me that's a postcard that you feel like you've really nailed it and I just pick it apart and I'm like, well, I don't know if I like these colors, does that offend you? Right? And we're going to have those honest conversations because I know myself well enough now that I know that that's become a problem and that's what I need to hire. I feel like I saw you trying to say something, Jen. No, you're good. Okay. And then I want you to keep in mind two very specific things when you're thinking about this. So one of the biggest problems that we find when making a hire is that people think that the person that's going to come in and be super creative can be very detail oriented too. Now, here's the deal. Are there some of those unicorns out there? Yes. Most of the world does not operate that way. So if you want a creative person, they are probably going to have a typo in almost everything they do. Like that is just who they are. That's creative people. They go a million miles a minute. Will they make beautiful things and come up with crazy ideas that you may or may not do? Yes, 100%.
Beautiful.
Yes. Beautiful. Absolutely. And it's just a thing, right? It is, you're either that personality and your house is a mess and your cupboards are all over. If you open my cupboards, like the Nutella might fall out, right? It is not organized. So, I am creative. Now, can I stop and do everything and be really precise? Yes, but it's harder for me. So I need, if I don't stress anything else, that is something you need to really understand. If you have somebody that's going to come into your organization that's really precise and very organized and very TC, checklist, all those things, create your templates, right? If they're going to do some of the marketing, be like, hey, we're going to use this whenever we go under contract with a home, and we're going to use this for this. Just have it all ready. And then if they can make it better someday after seeing how you are and how you work, great. If not, fine. The second piece here to keep in mind is what type of person do you need? So again, the task person, right? The person that is all about the checklists, they are not normally like sunshiny, fun, exciting people. They are like, I do it this way. Like, I want to be on my island. Like they will tell you, I think you're doing the wrong thing. And you have to be okay with them, butting heads with you a little bit. I need that in my life, right? I need that other perspective. I have numerous people on my team now that tell me, I think you're making a mistake. And I'm like, great, we're going to do it anyways. It's so fun. And they hate me for it. Right. And then they are the, like, I want to work from home. I don't want to see people. Like COVID's been awesome for them. They love it. So I just want you to continue to think about that. Most of the time, A really good TC person isn't somebody you're going to go drinking with. They're not your drinking buddy. All right. Okay. Next piece here. And this is probably, I don't know. John was totally right. You do not necessarily have to pay somebody a ton of money, but hi, if you're hiring a $30,000 to $40,000 person, then you need to understand what you're getting, period. And you can't like day 5 be like, you need to answer all my emails and you need to make sure that you're talking exactly like me. Like, that's ridiculous. Right? So let's give them the things that they need to do, and I will help you. I'm going to give you a list of all of the things that they could do, right? Let's give them a list of things that they can do and let them stay in their lane. And then when they get better and they grow and you see some success, give them something else. But don't give them more until they've nailed it on other things. That is probably the biggest thing that you can remember when bringing leverage in. So you have to figure out, is it salary plus bonus plus benefits? What does it look like? Wow, benefits is super spelled wrong. See, I'm going to always have typos. Should they get licensed? Yes. I don't even think that that's a question. They should just get licensed. A lot of agents are always like, oh, but what if they want to sell? I'm like, okay. What if they want to sell? Maybe your world needs to get bigger. Maybe you need to find a different seat on the bus. But most like true admin have no desire to sell. And once they see what we do and what our lives look like, they are definitely not on board for that. So get them licensed. They can answer more questions. Again, one of my biggest things on my hate to do list is talking to other agents about my listings. I don't want to answer all the questions. So if I know I don't want to answer all the questions, then I think most of you don't want to answer the questions either. So get an admin license so they can answer all the questions, right? They can handle all the feedback, all that stuff. What is their job description? You need to be really clear around what the job description is. Where are you going to post the job? Indeed, Wise Hire. Those are my favorites. If you're going to do it, let me know. I can help you get a job description or a job ad, or you can just Google Soprani Consulting and jobs and a bunch of ours will come up. Just steal it. Following a process. So probably the most important thing you can do is just put together a process and follow it. If you don't follow it, you will make a wrong hire. If you don't actually call and ask people that have worked with them before, called references, if you don't call those, you will make a wrong hire. Go on, find them on social media. Don't friend them, but you can stalk them, right? And we're really good at that stuff. So stalk them a little bit, see what their deal is. Do you have any mutual friends? Call those people, right? That's what you want to do is really figure out who do you have, what's going on there, and references are a big part, but do multiple interviews and maybe give them, some kind of challenge, right? So have them create a postcard for you if it's a marketing thing. Don't give them very many details, just see what happens. Have them write a description of their best friend's home and give it to you. Have them, call around and figure out a bakery in your neighborhood that could do, cakes for $14 a cake for all of the people for your birthdays, something, right? Give them an event to plan, do something, see how they operate and if they can handle it.
Jen, were you the one who told me to pay them for interviews?
To pay them for those days?
Salt, the pepper, the garlic, and
I feel like you're muted, Jen.
Yes.
Oh, you're good.
The answer was yes. Pay for that time and actually put them into it so they feel like they're going to go all in and they can't go back and say, oh, you took advantage of them. There's actually some legal parameters around it too.
Yep. Yes. Good. Ooh, I just skipped. All right. Processes and systems. So this is probably my favorite thing and I didn't leave very much time for it. I've got about 7 more minutes here. Here's the deal. I don't know who that is. We need to mute them. Mute yourself, please. All right, we've got E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful. What systems and processes do you currently have? Are they written out in a step-by-step manner? So what do I mean by step-by-step? Meaning I order photos. I then put the photos into the MLS. I create the MLS. I do this, right? What are all the steps? Do I have an intro call first? Do I explain what's going on? You need all the steps that you're going to be handling. And then what scripts and emails go along with your processes and your systems. Again, most people do not have this stuff written out and organized. That's something that Soprani Consulting can help you with. But the truth is, you know what you do. Sit down, just write it out. Even if it's not like a glorious list, make a dummy checklist as best as you can, and then you can make it better when you bring this next person in, right? What emails do you normally send out when you're going on the market? What emails do you send out for contract to close, right? Just organize those, save them here and there. And then that way you've got all of these things organized a little bit so that when somebody comes in, you kind of have that stuff ready. In my perfect world, you would make some videos and actually have videos of how to do things. And then that way, when your person comes in and you're out showing homes and you haven't been in the office all day, at least they could watch a video and potentially do something for you, right? Very important, especially if you're a solo agent hiring your first person. Make videos of everything you do. My favorite thing, my favorite extension on Google is Screencastify. You can make 5 to 10 minute videos for free. If you pay for it, it's even better. And it just puts them, it'll dump them right into the Google Drive, or it'll dump them right into YouTube. And then that way you can have a channel with everything that you do. It's actually very easy if you just take the time to do it. All right, so here's information. I'll bring that back up in case you need to call us, but you can just Google us. This is what I want to walk you through. So this is what we're going to give you. You can have the employee avatar. I'm not going to bring it up. I hate to do list or admin list. So many people have contacted us and said, I just don't even know where to start. So we just started for you. So pre-listing, listing going live, these are all kinds of tasks that somebody could do for you, kind of big picture tasks. You still have to, you know, get the little ones that go along with it, right? And if you're in an attorney state, you might have to change some things that say title to attorney. But again, you know, these are just different tasks that you might have somebody do, that we gave you a list of these so that you could start to say, ooh, I hate this, I hate that, I hate that. And then you can actually make that list of like, okay, I really do want somebody to do all this stuff. Let's talk through processes and procedures. So if you have nothing else but just these, you will take your business from E to P. Believe me, this is a complete list. And there's what, 34 things on here. That's not that many things, you guys. If you just take these and you organize these and have a system or a process around these things, you will build a business, believe me. And so what am I talking about? So there's something called the cash talk. I can stick that in this folder too for anybody that isn't in the Keller Williams or Soprani consulting world. This is just a good thing to talk through with somebody every single week at the end of the week once you've hired them, and make sure that you know what they think they've learned and what they need to learn from this point forward. So we'll give you that. Again, talk through your I hate to do list. Literally sit in an interview with somebody with that list and say, I hate all these things. How do you feel about them, right? If you hate, actually answering the phone, then somebody else has to do that for you. You do not want to hire the person that hates answering the phone if they're like, ugh, or, they kind of hedge it like, oh, I hate printing things out and sending them, or I hate doing that, whatever. Like, just talk about the things you hate, and the other person needs to be like, I love doing all those things. Those give me joy. Great. And we're on the right path, right? Having some kind of process for a daily stand-up or a huddle of sorts in the morning, even if it's just the two of you, that might be the only time you talk to your admin or your team, right? We could talk about inside sales hires. We could talk about all kinds of things, right? That I hate to do list will help you make your hire. It doesn't have to be an admin. But if you don't have this where you're talking to them every morning, you guys, you might go for a whole day or a whole week of not talking to these people. And then at the end of the week, do you know what you guys say to me? I don't even know what they did all week. I'm like, well, I don't know what you did all week. Why didn't you sit down and talk to them each morning and tell them what they were doing all week, right? Or check in with them and make sure that you knew what they were doing. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves. Operations manual, you just need one. Like, what happens in your office when, like, I don't know, like, what happens if a new admin comes in and they leave a bunch of stuff in the fridge and, the Dofi throws it all away because they clean out the fridge every 2 weeks. Like, you just need to have those things. So we can give you those if you need it. You need a vendor list. Can't be in your telephone. I don't care what you say. You need a sign and lockbox inventory. Again, do you have 20 signs and you don't even know where they are? How about your lockboxes? Do you just buy a bunch more when you're out? That's what I used to do. Let's just label them and know where they are. That would be crazy, right? Database with all Sphere and past clients. If you don't have a database, can you just get a database? You can pay top producer, Lion Desk, like $40 a month. Just do it. Put them in there. Communicate with them once in a while. Even if you just do twice a year, it's probably better than nothing, right? Creation of a referral contest. I don't even think I have to explain that. Tracking your team goals. So like how many like actual closings do we want a year? Let's track it. Let's just see what happens. Because if you're tracking it, what's tracked and what gets measured actually gets done, right? So let's do that. Templates, creating an online document system like template. So when you go under contract, what does your agreement actually have? What things? Let's just create a template in DocuSign or .loop or whatever, Skyslope. Let's do it. New listing action plan, mute. I'm gonna mute you. New listing action plan. Of course we need that. Weekly listing updates. We need that. Marketing plan for listings, group contact types and tags, organizing your database, right? Having contract to close for the listing and the buyer side, terminated listing plan and withdrawn listing plan. When you withdraw somebody, what things have to happen? Price correction. I change a price. What things happen, right? Listing feedback plan. An admin can so easily do all of your listing feedback. You don't have to do that. It doesn't matter, right? Let's come up with a plan for it. Open house, brokers open, plan. Lead gen reporting, plan. Lead plans, just have 4. I'll give them to you if you need them. Lead scripts, right? Let's have some scripts that we can actually use for a new agent if we bring them in. Agent onboarding plan and system, you just need a few things, and maybe you just talk through these plans that you have. You will show massive value to a new agent that comes on your team. 36 touch or an annual marketing plan is a must. Social media, 10-year post-buyer plan. So for 10 years, let's just send them stuff from send out cards, right? You can create the plan once, apply it, they get things. Hopefully you check in and make sure they didn't move with another agent. That's a whole nother ball game, but you can just check every year before it goes out. It's good. Closing gift plan. Do you give closing gifts? What do they look like? Do we have a budget for it? Referral program. I think I already said that. Co-op agent plan, profit share, revenue share, team building, whatever you're doing. If you're working with an agent, if you like them, bring them into your world, figure out how to do it and figure out how to profit off of it. Testimonial review plan, that also has a typo. Budget accounting plan or system, buyer seller consultation plan and training system. So what does our buyer consultation look like? What does my listing presentation look like? How do I duplicate that with somebody else? Value proposition for your team, mission, vision, and values, and you're done. That's a whole business.
Oh, and you're done. So that sounds super easy. Thanks, Lindsay, for summarizing that in, a good half hour.
So it's a lot, but you can just take one plan every single week. Will take you 1 hour to do. I promise. You're done in 30 hours.
Okay, cool. So 30 weeks, 30 hours, we're done with everything. And if we want to shortcut it, we can call you and you'll help us.
You can. I'll give you some.
Okay, cool. Because I'm exhausted just thinking about all that. And raise your hand. Like, does anybody else feel like they are the worst student ever and they're like a moron and they don't have any of this shit done? They know they need to do more of it, but they like, when am I going to find the time? I don't know. So, that's where these little incremental pieces come in, right? It's little things every day. If you spend 5 or 10 minutes reading every day, you're going to read a bunch of books. If you spend 5 or 10 minutes working on these systems every day, you're going to create a lot of systems. And if you just dedicate 1 hour every week, like Lindsay said, to building everything out, you're going to be in a much better spot halfway through the year than you were when you started. And you can prioritize this stuff, right? You don't have to do it all at once, and you can pick the things that are most important to you up front. And the real key here, guys, is the shortcut to everything. It's hire someone great to do it all for you. Because if you can focus on selling, and don't hire someone and then go to the beach for an extra 6 weeks, right? Like, that's going to be some very expensive time spent at the beach. I've seen Jen at the beach quite a bit.
I was saying, who are you talking about the beach? Yeah. That's after a decade. That's a decade of my ask at this. So yeah.
She finally gets a day off. But really, like, real estate people, salespeople are not these people, right? That's why you need that great person to help you create all this and implement it. Lindsay has to run, so she will provide all this information and be available for anybody who has follow-up questions or needs anything. Lindsay, will you kick the host over to Jen and we'll transition to her?
Absolutely. And all I want to just tell you guys is don't let that list scare you. Let it empower you, because it really is not that many things. You can do it. I'm going to pick you first, and then I'm going to bring Jen on, who will help you do all the things.
And And we're gonna now forget that you saw any of that stuff. And let's go in a time machine, like shake it out, like
We're
get up.
gonna Oreo cookie it. We just ate the cream filling and now we're gonna eat the cookies.
That's right. So shake it out, stand up, do whatever you gotta do, like, have a sip of coffee, get ready, and let's go back in time and pretend you've never joined this webinar. And we're gonna start from the beginning with Jen Schiff, who is going to get you some goal clarity so that you can better understand where you wanna go and why you wanna get there. And then we'll get into some more specifics.
So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited. Let's see if we can get us onto here. Can you guys see that? Oh, hit the wrong button. Hold on. Okay, can everyone see that?
You're good.
Okay, perfect. So you can see me there. So let me move this over there. Okay, so today, as we've talked about, we are going into our 2021 goal setting and business planning workshop. This content is something that I'm just so passionate about. I usually spend hours upon hours during this time of year, every year, working with teams and individuals on the content. And with little time, what I'm going to do is kind of pop around and do a water ski with all of us of some of the things that I think are the big difference makers in goal setting and business planning. So let's have some fun. So the first thing I always just like to share people, like as we go into this content and as I talk about everything I'm going to talk about, this is just a little bit of my visual resume, and all it is to tell you guys that I've just done a lot of things, and everything I share with you is really built around a ton of failures, a ton of experiences, and just learning how things don't work to really get to the core in our industry of how they do and how people can really live life by design. So one of the quotes I love so much around this is that planning is bringing the future into the present so you can do something about it now. What we find so often, I don't know about you guys, but what I've seen is that we take all of this time in the end of the year, we start setting goals, we start making plans, and yet we really don't do anything to execute on them. They come very just like set it and forget it types of things. And the reason that is because so often we put the planning into setting the goal, but then once the goal is set, we're actually not working a plan to achieve it. And what we know about ourselves is that if you did $15 million this year in real estate and you want to do $45 million in real estate next year, if you have the same habits and performance of the person who did $15 million in real estate, do you really think without any planning or consciousness that you're going to have the ability just naturally, because you put the goal on paper, to go from 15 million to 45 million? It's just not really likely, right? So that planning piece is so critical for us to have in mind and understand that really this all starts with you. So today we're going to share a few secrets that I have and go through that. And the first one here is really understanding, like, the sky is not the limit, your mind is. And no matter how much time we spend setting goals, no matter how many times we look at sheets, or I give you tools, or I hand you worksheets or systems, until you have your mind in the present state in which it's aligned to the actions, habits, and disciplines of whatever the goal is that you want to set, you're always going to have misalignment. So the first thing to really understand in all of this is that your mind is going to be the dictator of any goal in business planning that you're going to do at any point. And then we talk about goal setting. Well, in real estate, of course, the first thing we start talking about is production goals. But does it really start with production goals? It doesn't. It starts with you. And what are the goals that you have to set for yourself in order to make all the other goals come true? So some of the things are like, what are your mindset goals? Like, what are you doing to ensure that you've identified a negative thought pattern that needs to be replaced with a positive action, for instance? Like, what are some of your behavioral goals? Are you somebody who's never been able to wake up before 7 a.m., yet you need that extra hour? So now part of your goals is to wake up 7 a.m. 5 days a week, right? Just quick example. That might be only me, but then you have physical goals. Like, what do you need to do physically in order to even get your mind right to start having mindset and behavioral goals? So you really look at all these different components. Then we have our spiritual goals. Then we have our financial goals. And then once we really get that, then we can start looking at, okay, we've taken care of ourselves. Now let's take care of the business. And so what do those business goals become? They become our production and sales goals. They become our conversion goals. Because guess what? When we start goal setting, you guys might find that you need to do 5 appointments based on your current conversion. But if we increase your conversion 25%, you can get the same goal in 2 appointments. So are you really looking at a goal of conversion increase, or are you just running this finite line of being able to try to hit production without even looking at that? We have agent growth goals. Some of us are really passionate about helping others and growing either our real estate business or some of our networks. And then the thing that I believe is unequal to everything else is really like, what is your profit goal? And when we look at that, the net profit goal model is the thing that I would ask everybody to walk away with today, if nothing else. My friends, GCI is nothing but a number. And some of us are still at the egoic place where we want to start hitting just volume goals. Well, this year I want to do $20 million in real estate because that's going to make me look like all the other cool agents in my community. Or this year I want to do $150 million in real estate because last year we did 75 and we want to be number 1. Well, the thing is, guys, is that whether the volume number or the GCI number, they don't matter, because all that happens at the end of the day is your net profit. And the net profit is what you're going to be able to get what you want in life from, right? I have personally myself ran a $75 million team with 3 agents, and I've produced a $75 million team with 25 agents. Now, do you think the net profit of $75 million in those 2 different years were the same? No. They were so dramatically different. So I could sit here and I can be like, I'm a $75 million team. And you're like, oh my God, that's awesome. But what if I'm a $75 million team with 5% profit versus a $75 million team with 55% profit? So what I want you guys to really understand here is it doesn't matter how much volume or units you close if you can align yourself to the net profit you want to do and really be able to align what your activities are, what your expense management is, and how you choose to use leverage and scale to be able to hit this number. When you back everything out into this net, it makes it so much easier to accomplish your goals with clarity like you've never had before. Now, how do we kind of start mapping out our goals, and what are the first steps that we need to take to get this clarity? So many people that I talk to, and for those of you who may not know, now I spend the majority of my time in coaching and consulting. So I work with teams and agents all over the country, and you'd be so surprised how these huge producers really don't even have the clarity to how they're producing what they're producing. They're just master grinders, right? And as a master grinder, what you end up doing is you end up sacrificing the quality of life for yourself, the quality of life for your family, the quality of life for the people around you. Yet it actually doesn't have to be that way, because when you can get the clarity around what you actually have to do, then you can do it and then make powerful choices around how you prioritize time, because the goal's already been accomplished. And so many people fight the numbers. I don't like the numbers. I don't like looking at numbers. Numbers aren't for me. I'm not good with math. The numbers don't tell me anything. I don't have time to slow down. I mean, you name it, I've heard it. And yet, let me tell you that on the other side of slowing people down into the clarity of the numbers, their life by design is beyond anybody's wildest dreams. So here I'm wanting to tell you guys that if you are somebody who historically has wanted to hide from your numbers or not track them or not even look at them as you're setting goals, you are really doing yourself a disservice, and you are not going to ever be able to get what you want until you use the numbers to tell the story for you. Numbers are really your map. They're the language of leadership, and they give you the power to be able to control and dictate your actions and your results in full evidence versus emotion, where so many of us love to spend our time. You know, there's a difference in how we treat ourselves when we know what it is we need to do and whether we feel what it is we need to do. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but just remember, it's the map, not the feelings, that are going to get you that result. And so people do not decide their futures, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. And so here, it's amazing for us to have the opportunity to get into setting goals and putting things in alignment for us around what we think we need to do. Yet if our actions and our habits are not going to align us to those activities, then we just always have that rub between us. So really, as we set the goal, the question is like, what are the habits that you're going to have in order to be able to make these things happen? And sometimes it might need to be a habit in your lead generation. And sometimes it might need to be a habit in your personal routine. Sometimes it might just need to be clarity like we're talking about. But healthy attitudes, beliefs, implementations, and thoughts for success. These habits and disciplines are the difference makers of the highest achievers in our industry. It is not that anyone has better leads. It is not that anybody has more leads. It is really the habits that they're performing on a day-to-day basis with their business and database and the people that they have the opportunity to connect with that are the difference makers in the goal setting. So just to kind of tie that in a bow, you know, what are some of the things we need to think about from a 2020 growth plan perspective that go beyond just understanding that we have a number that we're going to need to hit in our business because we're salespeople? And so like we were just talking about, like what new habits will you be focusing on building? Like what coach or mentor would you love to have support your goals? What classes or events will you attend in alignment to the future of you? And what books will you read? If anyone on this call has not yet read Profit First, I highly recommend them going to that book. It is a game changer for you and how you will begin thinking about your money and how you will be able to plan for a business worth owning. And that's something I hope everyone on this call would like for themselves. So now let's look at secret number 2. Control the mind, control the results. So you are not responsible for the programming you picked up during the download years of your childhood, but you are 100% responsible for installing the upgrades. So I'm going to get a little deep here because often we just skim through business planning conversations and we teach people how to set their goals and we teach people how to understand their numbers, yet we don't ever address the fact that there's a difference in the mind between what we achieve and what we desire to achieve. And a lot of that really comes in alignment with the programming that was installed to us at a very young age that a lot of us don't even have the consciousness that exists. So if you are on this call today and you are not aware that the reason and the gaps between the things you want for yourself and the things that you have today are programming in your unconscious mind, ta-da, I'm here to tell you. And so with that, really understanding that when you have gaps between the things and the intentions that you are setting and the places that you are actually going, that is the reason for it. And you have the ability to be able to consciously make changes to that. And what ends up happening in all of this is that we make ourselves wrong, right? We set a goal, we think we want to be able to achieve it, and then we don't have alignment to it. And so you can make yourself wrong for what we're doing or not doing, or being or not doing, not being, or take the awareness as the opportunity and step into something bigger. So I would hope that for everybody on the call today, we can leave with the understanding that everything we want to accomplish in 2021, it's going to start with us. And the first thing that starts with is really the thoughts in our mind and what we're doing to be able to create and manifest and produce those opportunities. So this is a little bit of what's going on inside you, everybody. You have a goal setter and you have a goal getter. The goal getter is the unconscious mind, okay? The goal setter is the conscious mind. So we're here in a conversation right now, and consciously, each one of us can decide that we are going to set this goal for ourselves. Now, who do you think is going to help us actually get the goal? It's what's happening inside our unconscious mind that becomes the goal getter. And the reason so many of us have that consciousness that's setting us towards the goal, but that unconscious mind that is moving us away from it, is because our actual behavior doesn't match the goals because our unconscious mind and programming is actually controlling it. So I know that's a wild thought for those of us who are hearing it for the first time, and those who are hearing it again. I think this is just so important to bring front of mind to everybody to understand that we have to give ourselves grace. There is a reason that we have intent to do things, and that intent doesn't always execute. And when we can match that with getting that this is happening for the programming inside of us, and we have the power to be able to adjust that programming, you guys can get anything you want in 2021 and forever, right? And so if we look a little bit at what is necessary to be in the goal getter mindset, right? The mindset of a goal getter. It all starts with acting into the individual that you want to be. Neuroscience in the brain actually shows us that no matter what you've done up until this point, if you actually act into your new being enough times, the mind will forget your old self and it will create the new one. And what's required to be able to do that is a set of actions over and over that align yourself to those habits and disciplines of the goal getter. And the first thing is really you have to set the goals. You have to be clear on actually what it is you are here to achieve. Once you set the goals, you have to write the goals down and you have to post them in front of you daily. Can I see a show of hands for anybody who had their 2020 goals posted in front of them every single day? If you're on video? It's a big one. If it's not in front of you, how do you expect to remember it? You don't. Oops, let me get back here. Then you have to keep your mindset in the possibility, like you have to manifest it. You have to think you're going to hit the goal. You have to wake up every day and you need to talk in the language of somebody who's going to hit the goal. You can only think towards the positive outcomes of the goal because every negative thought you have towards it is going to move you away, and every positive thought you have towards it is going to move you towards it. I am somebody who's here to tell you I am a manifesting goddess, and I have so much fun with this because whenever it is that I want to set a goal, and I actually just did a really big run from April to now, 2 days ago, I hit a huge goal that I had set for myself to actually accomplish by the end of the year. And all I did was manifest it, look at it every day, look at it in front of me, create it, and go into action. And the feelings you get on the other side of like creating what you once thought was impossible, it's just so powerful to continue to create those thoughts and actions. So again, be in the mindset of possibility around these goals. If you set them and tell yourself every day that they're impossible to hit, you think you're ever going to hit them? You're not. If you put them in your mind and you visualize you already hitting them, you visualize the person who has already hit that net income goal, you visualize you as the person who has already hit that physical goal or that spiritual goal or that mental goal, and you will work into that person. Your thoughts will control everything. And if you think otherwise, it's not an effective thought process. Be clear on the scoreboard. So whatever the goals are, whatever you have written down, you have to be clear on what's happening day to day. You have to have that relationship with your numbers. You have to be able to look and see, where are my actuals versus my goals? Where are my gaps? Because what your gaps actually are become the gap in action and habit. So if you see that month over month over month over month, you're off by 3 appointments, it's pretty safe to say that you're missing a habit of appointment setting. If you go month and month and month and month, and your goal is to lose 50 pounds and you're gaining 2 pounds a month, you likely need to look at your diet. So if you use a scoreboard, you have the ability to actually tell the story of what's happening in real time so that you can then make adjustments to still be able to course correct and get the goal. Or at some point, it might just get too far away from you. So that constant scoreboarding, that constant visibility allows you the power to be able to do so. Create accountable relationships. I don't know about you guys, but I know that without somebody helping me and looking at what I'm doing, I can sometimes cheat myself. And so the accountable relationships really are critical for you deciding how you can have support in either developing your habits, hitting goals around your numbers, or anything that you're not doing naturally today, you can install an accountable relationship around and be able to get past the habit formation that's necessary to achieve the goal. Once the habit's there, guys, it becomes so easy. It's the formation of the habit that's necessary to be able to actually get where you want to go when you're not already getting there today. So set up those accountable relationships. Take daily actions in alignment with your goals. You guys hear me saying over and over, actions, 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 actions. The only way to reprogram the mind is to trick it into the new way of being. And that's done 2 ways, visualization and action. And that's science, that's not me. Visualization and action, and you can achieve it. Reviewing your priorities daily, weekly, and monthly are always really critical in the journey because not everything in the day is created equal. We all have the same amount of minutes to be able to spend in a day. And the whirlwind of real estate shows up guaranteed every single day of our lives. So if you're not aligning the priorities that you have with your goals and habits before all of those things happen, the first thing that's going to go is those activities. So when you look at it on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, it gives you the power to stay in priority and put you first. Work the plan and not your feelings. Oh, this is one of my favorites. So what naturally ends up happening is whether you're in goal setting or whether you're in a day-to-day weekly relationship with a leader or whether you are the leader and you're creating an environment for people to grow, we often create plans that are beautiful. We can make anything. You can make a 1-3-5. You can use a daily accountability tracker. You can use a worksheet. You can use Google Sheets. You can create anything. You can have all the scoreboards you want in the world. But yet when it comes to do the activities, often we don't work the plan. We actually choose whether we want to do something based on how we feel about it. And that actually just doesn't work. So what would it look like if you took the time to be in goal setting and you took the time to be in business planning and you set the plan and then you made a personal agreement with yourself that once that plan got written out and once those action blocks got put on your calendar, that when your feelings show up, your feelings actually don't get to dictate what you do, the plan does. Now, if everyone could do that every day, we'd have a world of perfection. And yet yeah, go ahead, John.
But Jen, I don't know how to do that when I'm grumpy or when the coffee doesn't taste good or whatever it is, right? I don't know. Do you have any hacks around that? Is there any way to just like do it when you don't feel like doing it?
Here's the hack. Jen, I'm so sorry that this coffee is disgusting and you didn't sleep last night because you decided to go out, yet you are committed to this action block in 30 minutes that says you are going to text 17 people. So you better text 17 people because that's what you need for yourself. So it's self-talk, right? Like the key is self-talk. Like you have to align with understanding that you are feeling a certain way. And yet when you work the plan, you need to tell yourself, I don't get to not do because I feel I have to work what I already created for myself. And that's the big part of it. And that takes practice. That is the habit. The habit of working the plan, not the feeling, is one of the greatest habits that you can create. Because what you're guaranteed to do is always not feel like doing it. Anything that you set, you will not feel like doing. And you have to create an environment for yourself that fosters the actions against the feelings, because it's the actions you don't feel like doing that are actually the actions that are going to take you to where you want to go. And that's for everybody. There's no exceptions to it. The only path to where you are not today are the actions of the person who performs the way you want to be. And that's just it.
And that's always going to be uncomfortable because it is always different than what you are used to. And
it's
so
sickening.
anytime you're doing something new, it's going to feel uncomfortable. And that's how you know it's working.
Yes, the sicker you are, the better the action. I tell people all the time, the sicker you are, the more effective the action you are taking. And then execute on those action blocks daily. So we'll talk a little bit more about it yet. Don't time block your calendar with white space. Every single day, look at what time is available to you and prioritize the most critical actions in alignment to your goals. And then work the plan, not your feelings. So secret number 3 is smarter, not harder. So now that we have a little bit, and thank you for letting me water ski through this because there's so much, I could talk for like hours and hours on each slide. But now that we have a little bit of an understanding of what's critical to do inside of goal planning and setting, and then the mind being at the real center of everything, now we have to understand, like, how do we put some tactical approach into a smarter, not harder way of execution? So the first thing here is, like, let's just understand the anatomy of goal achievement in general. So the first thing you need is clarity, right? So whether you're going through these exercises we just talked about, working your numbers, setting up which goals, putting the business plan together, if you are not clear on what you want to accomplish, it is impossible to accomplish it. Then once you have the clarity, you need scoreboards, you need visualizations. If it's not in front of you, if you can't see it, if you can't read it, if you can't understand it, if you're just feeling it, you're not there. You have to be able to see it. You have to be in evidence. You have to know how to pivot based on what has happened to this date and what you can do moving forward. And then just daily accountability sessions around it. And whether that's accountability to self, whether that's accountability to a partner, whether that's accountability to a habit or a discipline, those things put together will allow you to achieve the goals, even if everything is messy around you, right? This is not the path to a perfect life and a perfect business and things being organized and all the ways you could ever dream them to be. This is an execution mastery tool. This is the way that you can guarantee that you can achieve the goal regardless of how messy things are around you. That gives you the grace. And as we look at smarter, not harder, some of the things that I find as we go into planning that realtors and business owners in this industry get so lost in is how am I actually going to decide who I'm going to talk to, when I'm going to talk to them, and set that business plan up? And so I love giving people this consciousness, because what I find is that most people will tend to just spend their time telling me how they're building some plan around how they're going to convert the most amount of internet leads they have. And they don't even have a database of 100 people yet. So this is where you really want to start looking tactically at, as you build the plan, who is it that I should be in relationship with, and how should I spend my time first? And guess what? All contacts are not created equally. Naturally, it just seems to be that most people feel more comfortable going to a colder lead versus a warmer lead. Yet if I told you based on this bullseye and what you're looking at, we're looking at two things here. So you have a contact to appointment ratio. So based on each of these categories, you're saying how many people you're going to contact to how many people you'll set an actual appointment with. And then you're looking at a percentage of appointment to close. So once you get that appointment, what percentage of those appointments are actually going to close? Okay, well, if you could talk to your Sphere and Allied resources and talk to 10 people and get one appointment and have 80% of those people convert, or you can go deal with your internet leads in your CRM and you can talk to 40 to get one appointment, and then you can go and have a 50% conversion of those appointments to close, where should you actually spend your time first? And so I just love sharing this with everybody because I think it's so critical. And as you set your goals and as you decide what does my net profit need to be, how does that align to my production? How does that align to how many appointments I need to hold and take a week? Really look at this and think, who should I start with first? And is my business organized to even give me the empowerment to be able to do this? On the other side of this, one of the best parts of the consciousness around not all contacts are created equal is if I asked you guys, if you called 1,000 people one time, or you called 100 people 10 times, that's both 1,000 contacts. Where do you think you're going to have higher conversion? Can anyone tell me? 1,000 people once or 100 people 10 times?
100 people 10 times.
Guaranteed, 1,000%. Go execute on that. If anybody does not get that result, I will give you $1,000. How about that? So it is, yes, if anybody calls 1,000 people one time versus 100 people 10 times and gets higher conversion from the 1,000 people one time, come to me and I will give you $1,000 in cash. That's how clear and passionate I am.
Got a big goal. She's got the money to blow, so let's do it.
Aha, come and get it. And so what happens for all of us is we are so concerned with how do we produce more leads, and how do we produce more leads, and how do we produce more leads, and where's more low-hanging fruit, and where's the new contact, and how do I get more, and how you don't need more. You actually just need to be in communication with the people who are starting to or already know, like, and trust you. The average conversion right now, guys, is about 12 contacts to a yes. And the majority of conversion and nurtures are happening between 20 and 30 contacts. 90% of all leads convert, all conversion happens 90% in follow-up. So 10% of it is going to be on initial contact and 90% of it is going to be in those follow-up sequences. Where do you actually want to spend more of your time? I hope it's the conversion. And then what happens on the other side of this, so how do we talk to 100 people 10 times versus 1,000 people once? So here are just some of the idiosyncrasies I love to teach and work with my consulting clients on. And this alone has just literally helped people double, triple, quadruple businesses. So activity logging is the concept of actually tracking every single person you get communication with and finding the next time that you can communicate with them versus finding more people to communicate. And so just some of the mindset pieces around this to know is that everybody is somewhere in a real estate cycle. The average real estate cycle is about 3 to 7 years. And John, I know I'm over. Can I keep going? Okay.
No.
So the average
If you keep going, I won't have to do my slides, so it's perfect. No,
Okay.
What I love is we didn't compare notes, and there's so much overlap here, but we're going to talk about it differently. So I love that you're touching on a lot of the stuff that I'm going to get to in a minute. So keep
Oh, good. Party hardy, everybody. Okay, so just some of the keys here is like everyone's somewhere in that real estate cycle. So gamify finding it out. Every single person you talk to, try to figure out where they are and how you can know to speak to them next. Notes, when you speak to people also, people think, oh, I should just make a notation about like what happened in the call. No, we are actually pulling at emotional heartstrings here. What you're doing in this business is building emotional capital. And in order to build emotional capital, you have to remember some sort of emotional trigger in the conversation you just had with the person to bring back up in the next conversation. So if I tell you I actually want to sell in April, but my aunt's here until next week, can you give me a call so we can set up a listing appointment? If I call you next week and I'm like, hey, you asked me to call and follow up with you so we can schedule the appointment next week, or I call and say, hey, how was the visit with Aunt Sally? Did you guys have a good time? What did you do? What do you believe the difference is in the person that you're communicating with? And as many people as all of us on this call are talking to on a weekly basis, I don't care how smart you think you are. I don't care if you tell me you have a photographic memory, you are not remembering the heartstring triggers. So every single time you talk to somebody, you need to know the note of when you're going to pull at that heartstring again. You need to understand where they are in the cycle. You need to understand a logical time to follow up with them next. I call that next touch date. If I tell you my lease is up in April and I want to buy, are you calling me in March? Please say no. You're calling me every 2 weeks from now until April, and you're staying front of mind, and you're being in the relationship with me, and you are showing value. So when I'm on Zillow at 1 a.m., I don't actually click that button for the agent. I send you a text and be like, I found the one. Let's break the lease. Okay, so just know that no matter where people tell you they are, you need to logically know that if I stayed and front of mind, top 3 for these people, when would I have to communicate them? And then don't stop communicating until you get one of 2 results. You get an appointment with them, or they tell you GFU. If you don't know what GFU means, send me a message offline and I'll tell you, because we cannot use profanity in our presentations. And then you guys need tools, right? So I call these the 7-figure tools. These are the things that I use in my business with my clients. And these are the true difference makers of what helps people get what they want. So understanding your growth plan, like we talked about throughout this presentation, having all the components in order, having accountability for what you want, having accountability and a plan for how you're going to get it, keeping your goal worksheets front of mind, using pipeline trackers. I know that's crazy, yet it is the difference maker. And really daily activity tracking, aligning what are the actions that have to happen, and did they happen or did they not, so that you can plan to be the best version of you tomorrow. So many people love to compare themselves to others in our industry. And what I'm here to attest to you is everybody's business looks different. Every single person does it a little bit differently. And the only competition you have is yourself. So the faster you can get in alignment with looking at how you were yesterday and how you can get better, not how the other person got better, and applying these tools and techniques to be able to achieve that, you're going to get everything you want and more. So let's just talk about some few questions that we should leave ourselves thinking with today from the content that we've gotten up into this point. So the first one is like, what's the first action you need to take that you're not taking today to hit goals? They're there. What's the first accountability system missing in your business that would generate the greatest result when in action? What daily habit can you practice to bring you closer to that work-life goal harmony? And do your current thoughts and patterns support the vision where you want to go in the next 12 months? So really sit and ask yourself those questions and find the ways to be able to begin implementing these things into your life and into your business. And so before we go, I would just like to give everyone the magic pill. Just do it. Just do it. We can sit and we can plan and we can think and we can plan and we can think and we can plan, but you have to act. The action is the only thing that's going to create the result. And whether we win or whether we learn, we do not lose when we act. The only time we lose is when we think, because we think about the actions that we don't do, that when thought about actually are never the true projection of the future. So if you just take the action and then look at the action and decide the next action, it's going to get you tremendously further time after time than any amount of thought you spend thinking about how to do it. So thank you for allowing me to water ski through 2021 goal planning and business planning, excuse me. If you want to get in touch with me, here are some ways to do it. If you'd like access to the edible goal mapping worksheet, or you have any interest in going deeper with me on your 2021 goal planning one-on-one, or have any interest in some of the workshops that I'm going to be doing over the next couple months, you can fill out the feedback survey and we will send you the sheet and we can get in touch and talk more. So thank you.
Jen the Queen Schiff. I wonder why they call her that.
How'd I do, John?
You are unbelievable. Gosh, have you done any of this before?
Never.
Once or twice? Jen's like, I have too much content. I don't know how I'm gonna do it all. Yeah, no, amazing. Good job.
Thank you guys. I hope we had some good nuggets.
Yes, we did. All right, so everybody, let's take one more minute. Let's shake it out. Run real fast to the restroom if you need to. Put on a song. Jen was great. Dawn said, thank you. I am going to take over now. I will reclaim the host seat and I will share my screen. And of course, I'm on the last slide. That's not where we want to start. Let's start there. All right, how you guys doing? Everybody good? If you're still listening, if you're still breathing, if you're not too overwhelmed, go ahead and just put something in the chat box. Say hi, tell me how we're doing. Accountability. So I decided to focus on the last part of this, which is accountability, which Jen touched on. Wonky thing here. I will give you my quick slide on myself of who I am and why you might want to listen to me. I worked in the ultra luxury high end for the first 7 years of my career. I was born into real estate. I sold Nicolas Cage's house for $35 million and a whole bunch of other really high profile stuff.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, you just became like 10 times cooler than I ever thought you were. And I thought you were like #1 cool.
Thank you. And then I realized that I didn't want to work with super, super rich people because we were just like the butler or the maid or like whatever. And I wanted to have like an impact. I wanted to hear about like Aunt Sally and how things were going like over coffee that week and, you know, do all that emotional stuff that Jen was just talking about. We do about 20 mil a year, 20, 30 million in volume. I was a KW team leader for a couple years, was a productivity coach for a couple years. I am the co-founder of the Messy Middle Mastermind and the co-founder of 4 Aces Nation and EXP. We are almost to 100 agent partners across, I think, 11 states now. So that has been a very exciting 8 months of growth for us at EXP. Moving on. So 2020 business plan, just to touch on it. So what was your 2020 goal, right? So it's always good when we're putting our plan together to look back and see what our plan was before. And I don't really care what it was. I don't care if your plan was to sell 5 homes or 10 homes or 100 homes or 1,000 homes or help 25 families make a move or make $1 million or buy a Lambo or whatever it is. I don't really care. I want to know why. Like, why was that goal important to you? And what we'll find out is, you know, if you want to pop it in the chat box and share like whether or not you hit your goal or didn't hit your goal, what I'll bet you is if you hit your goal, you had a really great why behind it. And if you aren't on track to hit your goal, it's probably because your why was a little lacking. And when you have ultimate clarity on why you're doing it, when you have an emotional reaction to what's happening, or why it's important to you, you are 1,000 times more likely to go get it. And that's that unconscious goal getter versus goal setter that Jen talked about. Revisit that, right? Write that down. When you put your goal up on the wall, you know, like Lindsay and Jen both said, to go ahead and make sure it's like right in front of you every day. Well, why not tie your why to it as well? Like, if your why is your kids, your family, or whatever, why is that picture not there? Like, there's one agent on the call, I believe, who's one of the goals that they have is tied to sending their kids to private school. So if you don't have a picture of the private school for your kids, like right next to what your goal is, how connected to you, you know, to that goal are you going to be? You're not. So what strategies did you plan? So go back and look at things, right? So I always tell people, like, you would never join 3 gyms at the same time. You'd never go get a Peloton and then join Equinox and then join a yoga studio all in 1 week. If you did, you're probably going to burn out in the first week of trying that, right? And so why don't you get the Peloton and get going on it and get used to it and do it every single day or 3 days a week or whatever you're going to do. And then in a month or 2 or 3, when you're really in the habit of spinning those wheels on the Peloton every morning, then join the yoga studio. So that's the strategies for hitting your goal. That's what that looks like. And so if you're not contacting your sphere, if you're not hitting the center of the bullseye with the allied resources that Jen talked about, then Don't go call Zillow leads. Don't go sign up for that next new internet lead generation thing. Don't start a geographic farming plan. Don't do any of that shit. Delete, 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 delete. I want you to take it all off your list. You don't get to do anything when it comes to talking to strangers until you've spoken to every single person in your database. I am super passionate about that. Your database is key. With 100 or 200 people contacted 10 times a year, like Jen said, 1,000 contacts applied to people you know versus 1,000 contacts to strangers, you are going to be so much farther ahead. Now let's look at this, okay? This is where it all comes together on these strangers versus people you know. If you go speak to 1,000 strangers, what are the chances that you're going to like many of them? Probably pretty low, right? If you go talk to 1,000, now what is a Zillow lead, right? What is somebody who clicks the button on Zillow and pops into your thing to chat with? A Zillow lead is somebody with no friends. Do you know anyone who doesn't know a real estate agent? Like dead serious, do you know anybody who doesn't know at least one real estate agent? So if you're the guy who's sitting behind your computer clicking on contact me on Zillow to go meet a stranger to show him a house, what kind of person do you have to be, right? The chances of you being a high quality individual that aligns with all of the things that are important in my business with the mentality and the mindset of somebody that I want to work with, the chances of you being that person and clicking that button on Zillow and now all of a sudden getting in touch with me are like zero. So I'm going to have to talk to like 700 or 800 randoms that I want nothing to do with just to find one cool person that I would go grab a beer with. Don't do that, right? So if you find that you have a database of 200 amazing people that you love on consistently throughout the year, and you're still coming up short of your goal, then yes, we'll go figure out ways to add in strangers to increase your database number. And we'll have to cull through 50 or 100 people that we want nothing to do with to add 2 or 3 or 4 great people to our database, right? But only after you do all that. How many were new? How many were established? So what were you doing? Were you spinning on the Peloton? Did you have your database just dialed in this year and now you're ready to go add in geographic farming? Or do we just need to start back at square one and say, you know what? I screwed up the entire plan. I was a little bit over here. I was a little bit over here. I was on the 3 gym program and I did none of those things well. And so if you were on the 3 gym program this year and you didn't do anything at 100% capacity, then let's just go back to the beginning. Let's start all over. Let's start fresh. Use Jen's tips on mindset and getting your mental state right and your clarity right first. And then let's start to layer these things on top of it, okay? So with your 2020 plan, I want you to go back and I want you to grade each pillar. And I want you to tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you do with the things that you were going to implement this year to be able to hit your goal, right? If you've ever done a 1-3-5 or a GPS, you know what I'm talking about when I say pillars, right? 1 pillar is your sphere of influence. 1 pillar is your geographic farm. 1 pillar is your Zillow leads, God forbid. Let's hope nobody here is guilty of that. And then lastly, do you need to add anyone to your team? Lindsay talked a lot about it. The best way to shortcut success is to bring amazing people into your world. You need to let go of control and your ego and decide that you are not going to be the best person for everything. You are not going to run the relay race by yourself, okay? Nobody ever won a relay race as an individual. And that's what life is, right? Life is a relay race where you need to surround yourself with the best team. I don't care how good Tom Brady is. If he doesn't have any wide receivers to run down the field and catch the ball, they're not winning any football games. I don't care how good Ezekiel Elliott is at running the football. If he doesn't have somebody to block for him ahead of him, he's not scoring any touchdowns that game. Okay, don't think that you can get where you want to go by yourself. I don't care how much control you want, you're never going to get there. Let's move on. What's still working? So these are some of the biggest things that you'll want to implement that are still working in a COVID world, right? We have calls. Calls are always working. You can always call your database. Text messages, right? Are you sending texts to your database? How do you want to be communicated with? You know, I know that most of the time, like, I don't have time for a phone call unless we've set it up ahead of time. So a great way to get a hold of me is a text message. If you're not texting your database, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. Now, do I want you to auto blast some BS canned spammy thing to your database, your fake database of people who don't even know who you are, but you just collected their name and number one time? No, do not text a bunch of random strangers. This is text messages to people who know you, like you, and trust you, right? Social media direct messages. Did you guys know that you have access to thousands of people in a text message capacity, whether you have their phone number or not? I can pick up the phone right now. I don't need Jen's number. I can pick up the phone and call her through Facebook, right? One of the best ways to develop a relationship with somebody that you've never met before or never spoken to before is to send them a direct message on social media. Guess what? People post in their stories all the time. You know, the only way to interact with a story is by replying in a private message.
Can I add something crazy to that, John?
Yeah, go ahead.
You guys know what happens after you actually start messaging those people? They show up in your feed and you show up in theirs. Okay, keep going.
So I was just talking to one of my coaches yesterday about that exact thing. And if you reach out and have communication in a private message with a whole bunch of people, the fringe benefit is you boost your algorithm. And now all of a sudden you're going to start to show up in all of those people's feeds and you're going to stay top of mind. So you don't need to create a fake barrier where one doesn't exist. You don't need to be able to say, oh, well, I know this person on social media, but we've never met in real life and I don't have their phone number and blah, blah. That's all BS. That's a story that you tell yourself. You've got their phone and their text right there in social media DMs. Another great one is handwritten notes. Who can tell me right now when the last time they received a handwritten note was? Anyone? Yeah, Donna. Donna, you've had one, right? Yesterday? Okay, Donna, I'm going to unmute you. You got one. I can't unmute you for some reason. I think I'm the host. You unmute yourself. No? There you are.
Yeah, I have a friend who is great about writing handwritten notes. I used to be the Hallmark lady. I'm not anymore. I keep trying to do it.
Where's the handwritten note that you got yesterday?
It's at the house. They mailed it to the house because they knew I was home officing. But I'm at the office today, which is why I came in with this.
And it's at the house on your desk, right? It's like on your desk at your house?
It's actually in front of my computer at the house.
Yeah, it's in front of her computer at her house. You know why? Because people don't throw away handwritten notes. It takes like 6 months to get that thing into the trash can. If you send them a postcard or a recipe or anything, literally anything, it's going in the trash. If you send them a handwritten note, it's going right next to their computer, right next to their goals, right? What if you did like a cool little postcard, like a little thing where you could write handwritten notes and then you had a spot where they could fill in their own goal? And it just served as like a thing where they could write in their goal and they could stick it up right next to their computer. How cool would that be, right?
And
so what, Jen?
That I'm insta-stealing that.
Yeah, please insta-steal away. So, I mean, really, guys, like, get creative, get crafty. But when you add your handwriting, even if it looks like a doctor, it gives so much more power to something. Be a great human, right? When we talk about setting goals, like, don't set a goal to get a Lambo. Nobody cares about your Lamborghini. Like, nobody gives a shit. I swear to you, I don't care how red it is. I don't care how fast it is or how loud it is. Nobody wants to help you get a Lamborghini. What they want to do is help you change the world. They want to help send your kids to private school. They want to help you give back to your community. They want to help you bring clean water to kids in Africa. Whatever it is that has an emotional component to you being, whatever that why is for you, right? The Lambo's fine. You can buy the Lambo. I'm not telling you not to. What I'm telling you is not to lead with it, right? Lead with your heart. Lead with your community. Take care of people that people care about. People care about first responders. People care about teachers. People care about the elderly. People care about small businesses. People care about their children. They care about their children's schools. They care about pets. They care about rescue organizations. Tap into things that are common amongst humanity that people care about and use those things to help you succeed with your goals. Social media, usage is up, cost is down, Facebook groups are king. So tap into those, don't let those go. FSBOs and expireds need your help more than ever. YouTube is the new way to go become amazingly famous and highly leveraged. We could do an entire series on YouTube. The key is to not drop to the bottom of the funnel. So don't do YouTube videos about escrow or the settlement process. You're way too late. Go do YouTube videos of evergreen content at the front of the funnel. What are the best schools in the area? What are the best restaurants? Be the tour guide, right? What do people want to know? What are they searching for? If you do video content around that, you're going to catch them when they're still evaluating what they need to know before they move to your local area. And then reviews. Reviews never die. Reviews never get old. So if you don't have a system or a process to collect reviews that gets implemented on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, you are dropping the ball, right? Reviews are one of the best ways that your great energy and effort in a one-time transaction can live on to pay you multiple times through. Moving on. So how do you hold yourself accountable? So the first question is, how do you like to be held accountable? And so a lot of people will tell you, like, I don't like to be held accountable, right? If there's anybody on this call who doesn't love to be held accountable, just raise your hand and say that you're human, right? And the reason for that is because it doesn't feel great all the time. Like, a lot of times accountability kind of means, like, where am I messing up? Like, where did I not hit it? Or, right? That's kind of what we think, right? That's a mindset thing. The reality is accountability can be one of the most powerful tools that you implement in your life if you do it right. I'm just going to go out and say there's not a person on this call or in this world that can hold themselves accountable. So if you think that you're going to be the one to do this, you're lying to yourself. And I want you to be crystal clear with the fact that you're a liar and you're okay with it. So who's going to hold you accountable,
Phony.
right?
You're phony.
Phony. You're just, it's okay. I get it. I get why you think that you're awesome, but you're just not that awesome. And I'm just going to be honest and tell you that. So get someone to hold you accountable. First of all, there's an app for that. So does anybody have an Apple Watch, right? Your Apple Watch does a great job of holding you accountable to some basic things. Stand up, walk around, breathe, right? Your Apple Watch is watching you for accountability. There's one called Habit Share, Habitat, and Stick. These are 3 apps that I didn't know existed before this morning, but I knew there was an app for that, right? So if you go in that app store, there's all these habit setting apps that will help you stay accountable and stay on track. If you do nothing, get an app. Better than an app is a person. So if you want to just get a person, it can be an accountability buddy or a scripts partner, or in your best world, it'll be both. So
A coach or consultant?
Well, that's next. So you want to get a coach or a personal trainer. So who here has ever hired a personal trainer and then not shown up at the gym? Never. Does not happen. You know why? Because personal trainers are expensive. So if you're going to pay someone $150 or $200 to watch you work out, you bet your butt you're going to show up early and you're going to expect results. That's the same exact way it should be with your coach. That's the exact same way it should be with your accountability buddy or your scripts partner, technically, right? You would never tell a friend, hey, we're going to go do kickboxing class at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And then at 5:30 when the alarm goes off, you're like, nah, you know what? I'm going to sleep in. I'm just going to let my friend hit the gym without me. Or what kind of friend would you be, right? That's terrible. So the same thing works with an accountability partner who you say, look, every morning at 7 o'clock, we're going to hop in on the phone call for 5 or 15 minutes. And we're going to get through this real quick and make sure we both start our day on the right mindset, right? With the right intentions. We talked about willpower and self-accountability. The next one I'm really big on is tell everyone your goals. So usually if you have a goal that you're not committed to, you'll keep it a secret. You won't share it with anyone. You won't tell anyone. And the reason for that is because it doesn't really mean anything to you. And you know that you're going to cheat on it. You know that you're not going to take it seriously. And so if you don't tell anyone, then guess what? No big deal if I'm eating McDonald's tomorrow. I know I was going to go on a diet, but I didn't tell anybody about it. So if I'm in the drive-thru, nobody cares, right? But if I tell people that I'm committed to my fitness, or that I'm not going to drink alcohol, or that I'm going to double my production, or whatever it is, if I shout that from the rooftops, if I post that on Facebook, if I go Facebook Live, if I call my clients and I'm like, hey, tell me about your goals this year, and then they ask me what my goals are, and I tell them what my goals are, I'm 1,000% more likely to actually do the activities that are going to be required to get there when I'm uncomfortable, when I'm sick, right? Jen said the sicker you are, the more it's working. Well, guess what? We had somebody who is going to watch this recording who's not on this call, who is legit sick, super sick this week. You know why? She's like sick, like real, like I thought she had COVID sick, right? She doesn't, thank God. But I thought she did. You know why? Because she started a daily accountability challenge with us last week, and she had to show up at the office every day and take a picture and send it to us when she got to the office. And guess what? She made it 5 days, and then she got sick, like super duper sick. So just know that that's going to happen, right? And it's okay. Like, you have to plan for it. It's life. But that doesn't mean you just give up. That doesn't mean you just stop doing what you were doing. You deal with it. You fight through it. You make it a priority. You go back to your why. You go back to the thing that is really driving you to hit this goal, and you push through to the next level. And then the last one is, show me your calendar. If you have a goal, I expect it to be reflected on your calendar on a daily basis. And that doesn't mean at the top it says sell 20 million this year. That means, where are the activities broken down on a daily and weekly and monthly basis that are going to add up, because this is math, right? We're going to do addition and multiplication to hit your goal. And so if those things are not reflected on your calendar, you don't have a real goal. It's just some idea that you thought might be something that you maybe someday want to put on your resume. If you have a real goal, you will chunk it down and it will be reflected on your calendar on a daily and weekly basis. Your team. So who's your team? If you're a brand new agent, if you're a solo agent, your team is your title officer, your mortgage company, your lender, your TC, your manager, your team leader, your spouse, your home inspector. All of these people make up your team, right? You are the quarterback, you are Tom Brady, and all of these people are going to help you score the touchdown, right? If you are a larger individual who has bigger goals and wants to take it to the next level, then you might have a buyer's agent, a listing agent, an admin, a sales rep, a front desk. What about a downline? What about an upline? I don't care if you're at EXP or KW or any, if you're in a company that rewards people who bring people in to grow the company, you better be leaning on your upline and your downline. If you don't know the person who's your sponsor, if that person's never talked to you or helped you get a deal or coached you or done anything, but every time you do a deal, they get a little bit of money in their bank account, what's that all about, right? Why are you not enlisting the help of everyone in your world to hit your goal? And so my strongest suggestion, if you take nothing out of this, is this plan that I'm going to get to right now, which is, ask everyone in your world, ask everyone in your team what their goal is, what their why is, everything, and then share yours with them. And then get their permission to hold them accountable to one piece of business. Everyone in your world, everyone you spend money with, go get your bank account and print it out. Go find your hairstylist. Go find your broker. Go find every single place, your coach, right? Whatever it is you spend money, your personal trainer, go print out your account statement and then go to every single person who receives money from you and hold them accountable to one referral this year and get their buy-in on it. Because if you're going to spend money to help them build their business in their life, they better be able to help you build your business in your life, right? So if you know their goals, you can check in with them on their goals. And by doing so, they'll check in with you on your goals. Accountability is not a dirty word. One of my coaches the other day said, accountability is the strongest form of love. What do you guys think about that? Right? If your children, right? Why do we sometimes micromanage our children? Why do we sometimes tell, we're so on our kids to brush your teeth, comb your hair, do your homework, right? We're just on them. It's because we love them, right? We love them unconditionally. And there is no chance in hell that I'm going to let my children fail, right? I am going to hold them so accountable that they're going to succeed in everything they do, right? Why do we not apply that same level of love and care to everyone in our life? Because we don't want to have the serious conversation. You know what people do? People avoid the hard conversations around accountability because they don't want to hear the answer. They don't want to hear no. They don't ask their coach, hey, can I count on you to help me find one referral this year? They don't ask their mechanic, hey, I'm going to refer you 5 people. Can I count on you to help me find one person who needs to buy or sell this year? Because they're afraid that their mechanic is going to be like, no, my brother's a real estate agent. Like, I don't care. I don't care if you're a real estate agent. If you're in my life, I still expect that one person, one deal, one connection, one thing, right? You're going to do one thing for me this year that's going to make the difference in my business. And if I very simply go get a list of 30 professions, 30 people in my world that I am in business with, and I hold them each accountable to one transaction, and then I go find 2 mechanics or 2 home inspectors or 2 title reps or 2 escrow officers or 2 of anyone, or make it 3 if you really want to plus it. And then I have this dialogue with every single one of them across the entire board. We do 30 by 30, right? We're at 90. If we hold them accountable to one deal, that's 90 transactions. Is there a single person here who wouldn't be able to hit their goal next year if they implemented that one strategy? Get them to sign a piece of paper that says that they're going to give you 1 referral, not 10, not 20, not 100. You don't want to do that up front. You want to hold them accountable to 1. That is achievable. That is something that every single person will be able to do. Then when they give you 1, guess what? They're an allied resource. Now they go to the center of your target and they get more of your time and attention. And so once they give you 1, then you want to go get 2. Once they give you 2, you want to go get 3. And the way you do that is by staying in constant relationship and communication and providing immense value with the people that give you what you want. And what you want is hot, juicy, warm referrals. You do not want garbage. You want people who want to help you build your business. It's really simple, guys. So very easily, go hold them accountable to that 1 referral and then love the crap out of them when they do it. One huge, huge hack that I'll give you for your sphere and for your business-to-business referrals is teach everyone how to refer you. So what you do not want them to do is for them to get your business cards and put a stack of your cards on the counter in their hair salon and pray that someone picks up that card and calls you. Because guess what? Nobody chose a real estate agent ever because they picked a card up off of the counter of the hair salon and said, oh, this looks like a good person. I might want to call them. No, they chose a real estate agent because they were introduced to someone by someone that they trust. And so the way they refer you is a text message. A 3-way text message or a 3-way direct message on social media is the exact same thing as introducing 2 people at a party. So if Jen and I were at a cocktail party and I wanted to introduce her to Megan, and I was like, hey, Megan, come over here, come over here. Hey, I want you to meet my friend Jen. She's amazing. They call her the queen. She knows everything you ever need to know about team building and everything else. You're gonna love this girl. You gotta talk to her. I'm gonna go refresh my cocktail. I'll be back in a minute. And I walk away and I go to the bar and they're talking. Do you think that Megan is immediately gonna be like, nice to meet you, turn around and just walk away? No. Megan is immediately going to sit there and have a conversation with Jen because she owes it to her. She owes it to me. I introduced her. And so for no other reason other than that debt and that owing someone, they will acknowledge you and they will have a conversation with you. Group message. I'm telling you their life, because then you will know that they referred you. And the person who was referred to you will feel obligated to at least give you 3 to 5 minutes on the phone to hear you out. And if you can't build a relationship in 3 to 5 minutes with a warm introduction, then I'm sorry. not going to work out for you long term. You might want to consider a career in a different industry. Keep it on the calendar. So check in with these people weekly, monthly, daily, as needed. I love what Jen said about like knowing when to contact someone next. So you don't have to like harp on these people. You don't need to call your coach every week and be like, hey, where's my referral? Like you said you were going to help me build my business. I didn't get any referrals from you. No, just check in like once every 2 months, once every 3 months, right? Because things that get measured get done. So if I'm checking in with you on a regular basis, we're going to ensure that as we get closer to the finish line, you're likely to hit that goal. Frequently what will happen is I get Jen's buy-in. So I'm like, hey, Jen, we're in business together, right? So would it be okay if you help me find one new person this year that I could do a deal with that needs to buy or sell a home? Awesome. Thanks so much, Jen. I really appreciate it. So 2 months go by and Jen doesn't give me anything. No big deal. Hey, Jen, it's been a couple months. Did you help me out? Oh, yeah, I gave your business card to somebody. Yeah, Jen, remember we talked about that 3-way text message thing. Oh gosh, John, I forgot. I totally blew it. I'll do better next time. Yeah, no worries, Jen. Totally understand. We'll get it next time. Go ahead and just send that message to the person you gave my business card to. Maybe it's not too late. Next time, 2 months later. Hey, Jen, still haven't seen any text messages come through. You must be busy, right? And then she's like, yeah, I'm so busy. I got nobody for you, but I'm on it, right? Well, as we get closer to the deadline, then we can have this serious conversation, right? We can have a quarterly review or we can have an end of year review. And I can say, hey, Jen, remember how I said I was gonna help you build your business and I was gonna help refer a bunch of people to Manifest Consulting? And let me check my notes, hold on. I got 9 group text messages here where I introduced you to 9 people who were gonna, did you sign any of them up? Oh, you did, you're working with 5 of them. Wow, that's awesome. So I helped you get 5 new clients this year? That's amazing. I don't have any group text messages from you, Jen. I'm sorry, but as much as I love what you do, and I think you've really helped my people, I mean, they all rave about you. They think you're the best, right? But I don't think we're gonna be able to work together again next year. I hope you understand why. Because I only spend my time and invest in people who invest back in me. And so if this isn't a win-win, then we can't be in relationship together. I hope you understand. I'm so sorry I won't be able to send you any more referrals. Hey, Jen, guess what? If you want to get back on the A team, if you'd love to get some more of those referrals, easy, one deal. You know what my rules are. I don't expect 10 or 20 or 50. I'll keep pumping people your way, but I just need 1. Can I hold you accountable to 1 next year? Awesome. When you give me that 1, I'll bring you back on the A team. That work for everybody? Keep it simple. Make it one thing. Never make it 100 referrals. Lastly, this is the exact same thing, but from an individual perspective. Provide immense value, right? Put them in an emotional and relational debt to you, right? Go back and read How to Win Friends and Influence People and know that until you provide immense value, until they feel a debt between you as far as the relationship goes, they will never get off their keister and do anything to help you build your business. Number 2, find out their why. If you know what somebody's big why is, you're gonna have a much deeper emotional connection with them and you're going to be able to get so much more out of that relationship. Ask them, have you ever called your database and asked them what their goals are and asked them if they would like help being accountable to their goals? Do you know what kind of magic happens when you start to reach out to people that are veterinarians and doctors and lawyers and teachers and all these other people in your database? When you start having conversations around goal setting and mindset and accountability with them, there's nobody in their life that's talking to them like this, right? There's nobody that was on here with the Queen Jen Schiff talking about, mindset and all these things, right? The goal setter and the goal getter and all this stuff. No, they just get up every morning, they brush their teeth, they get in their car, they drive to the same job every day, they do the same thing every day. Most people in those types of professions are not involved in any type of self-improvement programs or anything where you deal with any of this stuff. And so if you can be the person who brings those conversations into their world, you're going to be elevated to a much higher place in their inner circle. Go back and narrow their focus, right? You have to share your goals with them, and then you have to hold them accountable to 1 introduction. They're not responsible for giving you 100 deals, 1 introduction. Let's go through the math. So you have a 100-person database and you call all of them and you provide immense value. And then you tell them all what your goal is and why it's so important to you. And then you ask them, in the next 12 months, would it be possible? I really need a favor. Could you help me find one person who's looking to buy or sell in the next 12 months? How many of those people are going to say no? Let's just call it half, right? That's not the real math. The real math is like everyone will say yes. But let's just say half say yes. Now we have 50. Let's say half of those people do it. Now we have 25. 25 text message introductions done right over time will spiral into 20 to 25 transactions plus repeat, plus referral, plus reviews. If you do this consistently, you will be unstoppable. You will never buy a Zillow lead. You will never do any of the stupid stranger meeting internet lead crap you have ever thought of ever again in your entire life. You will never do it. You will only focus on your database, because the quickest way to build your business is to develop deep and meaningful relationships with the people that you already know, who already love you, who already trust you, and who you vibe with. You need people who match your energy. And when you match energy with someone, you will go find more people that they know that match your energy. If you want to go pick up 50 new amazing clients, 50 new amazing friends, 50 new amazing referral partners, go hang out in the comments section of your favorite friend's Facebook. If you hang out in the comments section of every single person that you love, respect, admire, who might be able to connect you with great people, guess where the people you want to meet are hanging out? They're in that person's comment section. And guess what's the easiest thing in the entire world to do? Comment 4 or 5 times with the same person and then send a friend request. And then slide into their DMs through a story. And then all of a sudden pick up the phone and have a conversation with them. And next thing you know, you guys are besties too. And your friend's like, how did you become best friends with Sarah? I didn't know you guys knew each other. It's like, through you, of course. Like, I just met him on your page and now we're besties and we're having coffee. Like, I haven't seen Sarah in 3 years and you're having coffee with her? You bet your ass I am. Teach them how, text message dinner party. So I already kind of went through what that looks like. Provide immense value. Why did I put this on here twice? Because you don't just do it once. You provide immense value over and over and over again. You hold them accountable on a schedule. You don't call them every week and say, hey, where's my referrals? You do it every quarter or every 4 months or whatever schedule you decide is appropriate for you. And then you manage your time around your best people. So the people that Jen spends a lot of time with, and the people that I spend a lot of time with, and the people that anyone who is a high producer spends a lot of time with, are the people who are helping them get where they want to go. And so when you give me referrals, you go to the front of the list on the people that I want to spend time with. When you join my group, you go to the front of the list of the people that I spend time with. When you're on my team, you're at the front of the list of people that I spend time with. When you're somebody who hasn't given me a referral in 5 years and you call me all the time asking me for help, I think Rick was on here earlier. I'm not sure if he's still here, but Rick is notorious for this, right? If somebody calls Rick and keeps hitting him up for referrals and all this stuff and needs help, and then all of a sudden they never turn around and give that back, Rick will literally block that person on Facebook and never talk to them again. And I'm not saying that that's 100% what you have to do, but the reality is why are you continuing to invest and double down on relationships that aren't mutually beneficial, right? Why are you spending any energy with people who are not helping you get closer to your goals? It just doesn't make any sense. It's not how you organize your database. The way you deal with accountability and your database and your goal setting is by investing time in the people who invest energy and time with you, and double down on what's working. So that
one thing to that I'm so passionate about. You know, when it comes to like who we choose to spend our time with, it's not only those who elevate us that are critical to be in relationship with and help us hit our goals. It's also really important to make sure that we stay away from the dream bullies, because so many of us in our life have those people who are more connected to bullying your dreams than accomplishing their own. And when we hang out in that energy, it moves us in constant misalignment towards the energy and the people that we're looking to create with and grow. So it's not just aligning yourselves with the right people. It is not aligning yourselves with the wrong ones that can be equally as important.
You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you don't know who those people are right now, if you can't tick them off on your hands, you're already losing the game. Sometimes you don't need to do anything other than upgrade your friends. If you can go fire 3 of your friends that you waste your time and relationship on and add in 3 amazing people that will boost your energy, your mood, your mindset, your thought process, your behaviors. If you want to get in shape, go be friends with somebody who's in really good shape. You know who won't be asking you to go to McDonald's? That guy. You know who won't be telling you, oh, let's just sit around and play video games? That guy. That guy's going to be like, hey, you want to go mountain biking today? You want to go do a 13er? Like all these Colorado friends I've got are like climbing mountains every other day. It's like, if you want to get fit, go be around fit people.
Well, it's real life. I did 3. I'm on my 3rd 2-a-day this week. And the only reason that I am on my 3rd 2-a-day this week, I've never done that in my life. I'm not an exerciser. I'm an eater. I got a new friend, and my new friend is obsessed with exercise. And they were like, how can I help you? Because you helped me. And I said, the only way you can help me is get me to exercise. And now I have an accountable relationship with a person who exercises twice a day. And now guess what I'm doing? Exercising twice a day. It is a miracle. I'm sorry to interrupt you, John, but it was just too perfect.
And how do you feel?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know what to, look at my energy. How'd I do? I'm great, right? It just makes me feel so good.
Like Jen and I talk like a couple times a week, but I feel like I'm in her head like all the time because I watch her stuff. I follow her and what she's up to, right? And so if I can develop a relationship with Jen virtually that is like half real and half fake, like everyone can do this, guys. If you bring people along for your journey through social media, through your stories, if you become an amazing storyteller, you'll develop a deeper relationship with people because they'll know what you're up to and they'll know what you care about. And you do it in such a way that people don't even realize how strong of a bond they're forming. Like I know when Jen's at the beach, I know when she's, working out twice a day, whatever it is. And, I mean, Jen and I have been friends for like, I don't know, 6 months. So it's pretty cool how technology now.
We have a great time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, so we have a little bit of time. Does anyone want to dig in specifically to their own personal goals? Do you guys have some questions you want to ask? Like, how can Jen and I help you as we conclude this session? And I'm going to go ahead and